Level 1. The numbers game. You start at 0, with no savings and no assets to your name. Dating here runs entirely through dating apps, and your net worth plays no role because you do not have one. It is midnight and you are swiping on Tinder in a dark bedroom, thumb moving on autopilot. Roughly 350 million people worldwide use dating apps, and most of them look exactly like you. The math underneath the app is brutal, and it is not personal. Men swipe right on more than half of the profiles they see. Women swipe right on roughly 1 in 20. So you play volume. You polish 6 photos, rewrite the bio a dozen times, and send openers into the void, because at this level, attention is the only currency you can spend. AVG, male match rate. About 2% of right swipes. For the average man, fewer than 2 right swipes in 100 become a match, and most matches never become a conversation, let alone a table for 2 on Friday night. When a date finally lands, your bank account feels it immediately. You check the menu online beforehand and eat at home first, so you can order small and still cover the bill. Average first date, $100 dinner, drinks, ride. An ordinary American first date, 2 drinks, 1 dinner, and a ride home, runs about $100. At this level, that is a meaningful slice of your entire weekly pay. Nobody screens your finances here, because there is nothing to screen. You are judged on photos, height, and a 1-line bio, and money only appears when the check hits the table. But notice the one advantage you will never have again. Anyone who chooses you at 0 is choosing you, not your balance sheet. Remember this level, because you will miss its honesty. Level 2. Paycheck to paycheck. Your first stable paycheck changes the profile. There is a job title now, a car that starts every morning, and for the first time, money quietly enters the conversation. You add the job to your bio and matches tick upward within a week. Researchers have documented this for years. Visible signals of steady income change how a profile gets treated. Dating on a paycheck becomes a line item. App subscriptions, 2 dinners, gas, and small gifts can quietly consume $250 a month you never actually budgeted for. The first real money conversations arrive now. Who pays? Who splits? Who orders? Like the bill is theoretical. You start noticing habits, because one careless partner at this level can sink you. On the 4th date, she tells you about her student loans, and you tell her about yours. It feels like a confession because in modern America, it usually is one. AVG, student loan balance, $38,000 per U.S. borrower. The average federal student borrower carries close to $40,000. When 2 people date seriously, those balances are dating each other too, whether anyone says it out loud or not. Money is now the thing you argue about most, because surveys keep ranking finances among the top sources of conflict for American couples, ahead of chores and right beside the in-laws. Then you discover the first real wealth hack of romance. Moving in together splits the rent, doubles your savings rate, and turns love into the cheapest housing strategy in the country. At this level, love is still the entire test, and money is just logistics running quietly in the background. That balance is about to shift, 1 comma at a time. Level 3. The first $100,000. 6 figures of net worth, built slowly through index funds and a $401,000. Nothing about you looks different yet, but everything about how you date is about to change. With your first $100,000 saved, you start watching how dates handle money. Who tips, who budgets, who has a plan. You are not judging character anymore. You are underwriting it. Would a credit score matter? 42% of Americans say yes. You are not alone in this. In one survey, roughly 4 in 10 Americans said knowing someone's credit score would affect their willingness to date them. Romance is quietly running credit checks. You also start dating people who look financially like you. Economists call it assortative mating. Graduates marry graduates, savers marry savers, and the wealth gap between household types quietly widens every year. Ask people with savings what ends a relationship, and the answers are consistent. Hidden debt ranks first, and it is not close, because hidden debt is never a money problem. It is a trust problem. Marriage itself is drifting up the income ladder in America. It is becoming something people do after they feel financially stable, not a starting point they build their stability inside of. Look at who is actually married in this country. Among lower-income adults, barely 1 in 4. Among upper-income adults, more than half. The wedding ring is quietly becoming a wealth indicator. Your dates notice your stability the same way you notice theirs. A paid-off car, a retirement account, a calm answer about rent. Boring, at this level, is the most attractive thing you own. You are still on the apps, but you swipe differently now. Fewer matches, longer conversations, real questions about goals and debt. The numbers game is ending, and the screening game is beginning. Level 4. The filter. $500,000 in net worth. Your time finally has a price per hour, and you refuse to spend 40 of them on strangers who were never going to fit. You stop swiping wide and start filtering hard. Age, ambition, lifestyle, location. The apps happily sell you that precision because filtering is exactly what their premium tiers were built to monetize. The upgrade menu is very real. Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble all sell premium tiers that boost your visibility and unlock filters, and the priciest plans cost more than a gym membership. Above the paid tiers sit the gated apps, where membership itself is the filter. Raya and the League make you apply like a job, and most applicants simply never get in. Raya acceptance rate. About 8% of applicants. Raya, the members-only app favored by celebrities and founders, is reported to accept only around 8% of applicants. The velvet rope has gone digital, and it reads your LinkedIn first. The screening becomes mutual and unspoken. You Google her before drinks are even scheduled. She Googles you before agreeing to them. Both of you arrive already briefed, politely pretending otherwise. What looks like casual first date is really mutual due diligence. Every first date at this level is 2 performances stacked on one table. It looks like small talk over a glass of wine. It functions like light due diligence with dessert. You take fewer dates and better ones. A 20-minute video call first, at 0 cost. If the conversation dies on screen, you just saved $100 and an entire evening. Notice the quiet turn happening here. Below this level, money helped your dating life. Above it, money starts to distort it, because soon it will be the most interesting thing about you. Level 5. The Millionaire's Dilemma. $1 million in net worth, the number that was supposed to solve everything. Instead, it flips the entire question because now you start wondering exactly why people like you. You become vague on first dates. I work in finance becomes I do some consulting. Not to impress anyone, but to hide the single fact that changes how everyone behaves around it. U.S. millionaires. About 22 million people. Crossing 7 figures is less rare than it feels. Around 22 million Americans are millionaires. But rarity was never the issue. The issue is what the number quietly does to trust. So you run quiet tests. A first date at a taco spot instead of a steakhouse, watching for the flicker of disappointment. You learn more that way than any bio ever taught you. You drive the 10-year-old Camry to dinner on purpose. The Millionaire Next Door is no longer a book on your shelf. At this level, it has become a dating strategy. Americans with prenups. 15% engaged or married. Paperwork officially enters romance. About 15% of engaged and married Americans have now signed a prenup, 5 times the rate of 2010. And millennials are the ones driving the surge. Your attorney explains the machinery in a single meeting. Premarital assets stay separate property, keep clean records, never commingle the accounts. Love, at this level, arrives with a filing system. Then one night it finally lands. She laughs at your joke, and a small cold voice asks whether that laugh is for you or for the number she may have sensed. The dilemma has no clean exit. Reveal the money early and you attract exactly the wrong people. Hide it too long, and the hiding itself becomes the first lie between you. Level 6. The Matchmaker. $5 million in net worth, and you delete every dating app off your phone. From here, you do not search for people, you hire professionals who search for you. You walk into a matchmaking firm's office, the kind with no sign on the street door. This is the industry that replaces the swiping algorithm with a human being on retainer. Professional matchmaking is priced like the professional service it has become. At the established firms, entry packages start near the price of a new car, and they climb steeply from there. The intake interview runs 2 full hours. Your history, your habits, your deal breakers, your finances. Halfway through, you realize you are both the client and the product being carefully packaged. Candidates are screened before you ever hear a first name. Employment verified, backstories checked, intentions probed over coffee by a professional who is paid to be suspicious on your behalf. Typical prenup cost: over $2,500 in legal fees. The prenup graduates from option to default at this level. A standard agreement costs a few $1,000s in legal fees, nothing against the 7 figures it is built to protect. You raise the subject over dinner like an adult, and the serious candidates never flinch. At this level, everyone has assets, and paperwork is simply how grown people say I am serious. Your dating year now looks strange on paper. Perhaps a dozen introductions, every single one pre-screened, 0 strangers. Efficiency is way up, serendipity is gone, and you quietly feel its absence. And yet it can genuinely work. The matchmaker calls in March about a woman who sold her company last year. 2 equals, both vetted, neither impressed by money. That is the product. Level 7. Full vetting. $25 million. Privacy is now worth more to you than attention, and every new person who gets close is both a possibility and a liability at the exact same time. Background checks stop being paranoid and become standard procedure. Before a second date, a quiet firm confirms she is exactly who she says she is. She may be doing the same to you. Pre-date background check. $500 to $5,000 per report. The pre-date background check is a real product with a real invoice. Licensed investigators charge from a few $100s for a basic screen to several thousand for a deep one. Non-disclosure agreements appear before anything gets serious. Celebrities normalized them years ago. Now they protect your deals, your family, and your name from a bad breakup with a good lawyer. The asymmetry stings a little. Your side of the table is already public. Property records, company filings, court documents, that magazine profile. She can research you for free. You have to pay. What looks like a private romance is really managed risk. From the outside, this stage of your life looks like an intensely private romance. From the inside, it is risk management with candlelight, run by people you pay to stay invisible. At this altitude, the matchmakers change as well. The elite tier operates exactly like executive search, a headhunter for a spouse, quietly running a global shortlist on your behalf. Elite Matchmaker Package, $500,000 global search. The top firms quote packages that reach $500,000 for international searches lasting a year or more. Against a $25 million estate, that is 2%. Cheap, considering the alternative. Because the alternative carries a price tag too. At this level, a failed marriage is not heartbreak and a moving truck. It is a balance sheet event with discovery, depositions, and headlines. Level 8. The family office. $50 million, and your money now has its own staff. A family office manages the fortune full-time, and the fortune has developed opinions about your love life. When a relationship turns serious, the family office quietly opens a file, not because anyone distrusts her, but because at this size, every major decision gets diligence, and marriage is a major decision. The review is polite, methodical, and absolutely thorough. It maps everything a future spouse could bring into the estate and everything one could someday, in a bad year, take out of it. The legal architecture goes up long before the wedding does. Trusts shield the operating businesses, the real estate sits inside LLCs, and the prenup now runs longer than the guest list. Even dating short of marriage gets documented now. Cohabitation agreements, records of major gifts, a clean paper trail behind every trip. Nothing stays casual once the lawyers know her name. People worth $30 million plus, about 600,000 worldwide. You have also nearly run out of financial peers. Only about 600,000 people on the entire planet are worth $30 million or more. Your dating pool is a rounding error. So the meeting places change. Charity galas, board dinners, foundation events, a friend's vineyard in October. Rooms pre-filtered by the price of entry and by the guest list itself. Introductions now come through people who vouch. A co-investor's sister, a fellow trustee, someone from the foundation board. The social circle has become the algorithm, and it screens harder than any app. Spontaneity is the casualty nobody mentions. You will never again lock eyes with a stranger and simply see where it goes, because your security detail has already asked for her name. Level 9. The vetted introduction. $100 million, the top of the ladder. Romance now arrives as a vetted introduction, arranged by professionals who finished checking you both out long before the first hello. The introduction happens at a private dinner for two, arranged weeks in advance. A matchmaker has already run full background checks on both of you, and neither of you pretends otherwise anymore. Largest divorce settlement. $38 billion in Amazon stock. Everyone at this level knows the cautionary tale by heart. Jeff Bezos married Mackenzie before Amazon existed, with no prenup, and their 2019 divorce settled for roughly $38 billion. That single settlement rewrote the rules for every fortune that came after it. Paper first, feelings second. Not because love is dead, but because the numbers stopped forgiving honest mistakes. Marriage at 9 figures is a merger in everything but name. Estates combine, foundations align, heirs and board seats enter the term sheet. 2 teams of lawyers attend the engagement. What looks like a love story is really a vetted merger. From the outside, the wedding photos will look like any other love story. Underneath them sit 18 months of vetting, 3 signed agreements, and 2 family offices that approved it first. And here is the irony that no amount of money ever fixes. At 0, anyone who chose you chose you. At 100 million, you can never be entirely certain again. Run the whole ladder back and watch what each level screens for. Looks and charm at the bottom, stability in the middle, intentions after the first million. Everything at the very top. Because the one asset no investigator can ever verify is sincerity. Every background check, every prenup, every vetted dinner is the wealthy trying to buy back what the broke get for free. The need never changes as you climb. Only the vetting does. Somewhere above you tonight, a man worth $100 million would pay anything to be chosen the way you still can be.